everyone, good morning, good evening, happy lunch break, happy potty break. Yes, you on the toilet. I know what's going on. I've got the data, I've got the analytics. I know exactly where each and every one of you squids like to enjoy this juicy Yami Noob content. And guess what? It sure ain't deep in the ocean. The figures I'm looking at here show most popular places to watch Yami Noob videos are either while on the toilet or stuck inside the dryer. So take that for what you will. I'm kidding, of course. But anyway, you might be thinking, what the hell's going on? Well, we've got a silly and fun video today. A motorcycle alignment chart. You know, the chart that ranges from lawful good to chaotic evil. A chart commonly used by incels on Reddit to organize their favorite anti-heroes like Walter White or Tyler Durden. I'm sure you're all familiar. I, of course, can't rank every single motorcycle ever made, so I just chose 20 or so different popular cringe or meme-worthy or easily made fun of motorcycles for today's video. So without further ado, let's get into it. It's the motorcycle alignment chart. Today's video is sponsored by our good friends over at Chin Mounts. I'll tell you more about them later on in the show. So we've got our chart here with values ranging from lawful to chaotic and good to evil. In the middle, we'll find the neutral zone as well. It's all pretty straightforward, right? I imagine you've all seen this meme format before. So the first bike I want to mention is the Honda Goldwing. I feel like the Goldwing establishes a sort of baseline for our comparisons today. We're going to put the Goldwing in the lawful good section of our chart today. It has a big, commanding, almost authoritarian presence, but it only has the best intentions for the rider and everyone else on the road. It's like a loyal and well-trained animal that recognizes its sole purpose is to serve you and is happy to do so. The Honda Goldwing is the minivan of motorcycles. It is a smooth and functional ride for law-abiding do-gooders who derive orgasmic pleasure from following the speed limit. Alternatively, in the lawful evil section, we have any Harley-Davidson Bagger. Road Glide, Street Glide, Ultra Limited, they're all the same to me. These types of bikes are interesting because while they're lawful, they follow their own set of laws and values that don't align with the rest of society or with motorcycling. You know that any guy that rides on one of these baggers has a couple hard and aggressive bumper stickers on the back of his pickup truck that make the important aspects of his belief system loud and clear to the general public. And while having a strict and authoritarian value system in regards to personal freedom, Second Amendment rights, states' rights, and plenty of other things that I'm sure you can infer, but I will refrain from mentioning for fear of starting a riot in the comments section, the average Harley Bagger rider is morally ill. They probably have a few criminal charges ranging from domestic abuse to DUIs to conspiracy to kidnap a governor. Harley Bagger, lawful evil. Moving on. This one should be pretty agreeable by just about every rider in the comments. The Royal Enfield Meteor 350 is true neutral. I mean, I'm unsure of if there's ever been a motorcycle so uninteresting that it doesn't have any sort of cultural implications. It's just motorcycle, and that's all there is to say about it. Up next, we have the Suzuki Gixxer 600. I think this one has to go in neutral evil. I mean, if you take away all the social stigma of 2 decades of Gixxer squids, it's just a standard Japanese 600 class sport bike, which is fairly neutral on the lawful to chaotic spectrum. But then when you take into consideration the type of people who ride Gixxer 600s, it starts to feel pretty home in the neutral evil category. The Gixxer 600 is one of those few motorcycles that feels like you should get a restraining order against it. Like, it's going to come do harm to your family if you let it come around. Like, it will ask you to loan it money so it can pay back some gambling debts. Gixxer 600, neutral evil. Let's take a brief break from our motorcycle alignment chart. Get it? A break? Heh. To get a brief word from our sponsor, Chin Mounts. It might be hard to qualify action camera helmet mounts as lawful or chaotic, but it's pretty clear to see where Chin Mounts excels far past your average run-of-the-mill mounting system. Chin Mounts makes over 400 helmet-specific action camera mounts that seamlessly allow you to attach your camera to your motorcycle helmet without sacrificing any of the unique helmet functionality. Not only do these helmet-specific mounts not impede the look or functionality of your helmet, they will ensure your camera stays securely mounted as well. Chin Mounts also sells the Creator Pack, which allows you to mount your camera vertically so you can get the optimal aspect ratio for videos for social media platforms like TikTok or Instagram. Chin Mounts are also compatible with GoPros, Insta360, DJI cameras, and more. I've been using a chin mount system on my helmet for the last 4 months, and I cannot see myself ever going back to a generic brand. It just makes the whole thing a lot easier. Chin Mounts offers free shipping on orders over $20 in the US and Canada, and because you are a loyal Yami Noob viewer, you can go to chinmounts.com/Yami and use the code YAMI for 10% off of your order as well. Again, that is code YAMI for 10% off your entire order. Thanks to Chin Mounts for supporting the channel. Now back to the video. All right, we need to get the first bike in the truly neutral good category, and for that I'm thinking Ninja 400. I mean, it's the lovable Ninja 400. Before that, we had the Ninja 300 and the Ninja 250. Everyone loves this little sport bike. It's inoffensive, works as intended, and is a good value. There's not much more to say about it other than that. But the next bike on the list is the Honda XR650L, which will find itself in the Lawful neutral category. This is just a good old-fashioned, dumb, simple dual sport. It's like a humble soybean farmer. It just farms its beans day in and day out without complaint. It doesn't use its soybean business as a platform to spread its political ideologies. It just loves tilling the soil and seeing the fruits of its labor. Like the rapidly diminishing number of independent agrarian farmers, the XR650L is a relic of another era. In the chaotic neutral category, we have the Ducati Monster. Chaotic because this bike was originally a bargain bin motorcycle made over of leftover scraps from other Ducati motorcycles, and chaotic because the Monster has been produced in literally dozens of different configurations over the last 20 years. There's like just so many different monsters, but it's good because it's a monster. It kind of created the archetype for the naked twin motorcycle that inspired the SV650 and pretty much every other naked bike since. Another entry for the Lawful evil section is the BMW S1000RR. I feel like there is a movie stereotype of an evil German doctor, and that's exactly the vibe the S1000RR has. It's too clinical, too sterile, too squeaky clean, and while you know that there are ulterior motives at play, the BMW S1000RR is like the doctor in the human centipede. I think if you stare at it for too long, it might slit your throat. And next up is the Honda Rebel 250. We've got to put the Rebel in the true neutral category as well, because it is just so ubiquitous, it has no real identity. It's just like approachable as a motorcycle can get. When it was originally designed, I think everyone thought it looked styled like a badass cruiser, but in hindsight, it's just a criminally vanilla bike in every way, yet it is reliable and trustworthy without any agenda. It's time. We've come to the Turbo Hayabusa. Where is the regular Hayabusa, you may ask? I don't know, nor do I care. Once you own a Turbo Hayabusa, nothing else matters. If your relationship with your Turbo Busa begins to supersede that of your friends and family, you really think you'll have any emotional bandwidth for a naturally aspirated Hayabusa? Get the heck out of here. Oh yeah, Turbo Hayabusa obviously is chaotic evil. It's chaotic because it's a turbocharged 1300cc motorcycle. Once you start to spool boost, your soul leaves your body and a disembodied voice asks you why you've strayed so far from God's light. And a Turbo Busa is evil because it will blow up and rip your heart out of your chest. Up next in the chaotic good category is the Ducati 916. This motorcycle lives here because our chart doesn't go all the way to great because it was the first motorcycle to make thousands of enthusiasts sexually aroused. There's something chaotic about a piece of machinery that can elicit such primal desires. Also, those service bills are probably pretty chaotic. On the other side of our chart, we have Lawful Good, where I will place the Triumph Rocket 3. This bike is obviously good. It has a car engine that makes 163 foot-pounds of torque and 165 horsepower, and it's lawful because the Rocket 3 has real daddy energy. Like, it's big and strong and will take care of you, but will also enforce a strict bedtime. And I know some of you out there need that kind of figure in your life. Seriously, there's like cat girl people on our Discord. I don't know, man, I'm too old for that shit. I mentioned at the top of this that the list would include motorcycles that were easily made fun of, so next up we have the Harley Davidson Evo Sportster. The Sportster will live in the chaotic neutral category. They can be pretty chaotic because they're never left stock and you never know what to expect, and they're always modified in the most abhorrent ways possible, but they retain neutrality by being a ridiculously rudimentary motorcycle at their core. Not to mention that they're ridden by riders who are spiritually lost and searching for identity, aligning with neither good nor evil. Another bike that's qualified as neutral good in my opinion is the Yamaha R1. Yamaha is pretty right down the middle in terms of their brand, right? Like, you could argue Honda nerds are typically pretty lawful and Kawasaki Kyles may gravitate towards the chaotic end of the spectrum, and we all know where Suzuki people live, but Yamaha riders are pretty even keel, honestly. And the R1's just a great bike. It makes a ton of power, has a great sound. There really isn't too much more to it than that. I was saving this bike until closer to the end because it is such low-hanging fruit, but the original Kawasaki H2 Mach IV from the 1970s is in the chaotic evil category. This bike had a 750cc 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine and a power band that peaked higher than an Italian designer's trousers when he first laid eyes on the Ducati 916. The OG H2 literally killed people with such an affectless disposition, it almost appeared as if that was Kawasaki's intent. And maybe it was after World War II. I don't know. Let's just say that the H2 Mach IV was a bad dog and had to be put down after just a few short years. But alas, Kawasaki set out to right their wrongs and liberate the H2 name from motorcycle jail, determining it had 40 years to think about the consequences of his actions, and they developed and released the Ninja H2. The H2 is chaotic good. It's chaotic because it has a supercharger from the factory and makes an ungodly amount of power. And it is good because it is an amazing bike. It's fast as hell, it looks aggressive and menacing, it has every rider aid under the the sun to make this bike as non-lethal as possible. And yeah, I just think it's great. We've got one more bike for the chaotic neutral category, and that is the Yamaha VMAX. The VMAX was a genre-defying motorcycle in a lot of ways when it was released in 1985. It has that sort of strange muscle cruiser standard type motorcycle with the V4 engine, a shaft drive, and V-boost technology. But it's chaotic because it's an example of the cultural hubris of the 1980s, where everything had to be bigger, better, and more exciting, otherwise the Soviet Union would win the Cold War and take our freedoms away. That's why supermarkets exist. Like, literally, the United States made all this propaganda videos about how amazing our supermarkets were. Look it up. It's like anti-communist propaganda to have like a ton of oranges and apples right front and center at your local Kroger. It's just weird. The VMAX was produced all the way up until 2020, and Nick Cage even rode one in Ghost Rider 2. If that's not chaotic, I don't know what is. And it's neutral because of that just classic Yamaha neutrality. The VMAX wasn't trying to circumvent any cultural values, it was assimilating to the cultural values of the time. Chaotic neutral. All right, we've only got 2 bikes left today. I've had so much fun doing this, but the second to last motorcycle is the Triumph Bonneville, which finds itself in lawful neutral. This is a really fitting place for the Bonnie to live, being opposite the Sportster in the chaotic neutral category, as both bikes were born of the same era. The Sportster being Harley-Davidson's answer to the lightweight British twin roadsters that were becoming popular in the 1950s, the Bonneville is just classic and exudes traditional values in a very lawful manner. And the last motorcycle today is the Suzuki SV650. The SV650 will go in the neutral good category. I'm sure many SVs have lived chaotic lives, but the original intent of the motorcycle was to be a good and approachable and all-around bike. And I think the SV650 has managed to hold that position in the industry for the last 20 years. It's a good bike. It's a little bit out of touch these days and a little bit void of personality in comparison to so many other bikes, but it's still a good and inoffensive motorcycle by most metrics. So there you have it, a motorcycle alignment chart. That was a little bit of a silly project, huh? Hope you enjoyed this one. Do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos, and I'll be sure to see you in the next one. Leave me a comment down below if you think I left a very iconic motorcycle out of this alignment chart, and let me know where you think it will fall. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this video, because it was a ton of fun to make. See you next time. Fact: Cleopatra, the renowned Egyptian queen, lived closer in time to the construction of the first McDonald's restaurant than to the building of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Cleopatra lived from 69 to 30 BCE, while the Great Pyramid of Giza was first constructed around 2560 BCE. In contrast, the first McDonald's opened its doors in 1940. Man, this is super weird. Goodbye.
Keep watching Gaming Noob!